For decades, fans of the Bee Gees have whispered about the one subject Barry Gibb refused to discuss: the real truth about his complicated, emotional, and often painful relationship with his brother Robin Gibb. Their harmonies changed music forever. Their songwriting shaped entire generations. But behind the glitter, fame, and soaring falsettos, there were wounds, deep wounds, that never fully healed. Now, at 79, Barry Gibb has finally broken his silence. And what he revealed about Robin is far more heartbreaking, raw, and human than anyone ever expected. To the world, the Bee Gees looked inseparable, three brothers with one voice. But privately, Barry and Robin struggled with rivalry, jealousy, misunderstandings, and years of unresolved tension. There were quiet fallouts, long stretches of distance, and moments when the group nearly fell apart completely. For years, rumors swirled that the brothers didn't even speak near the end, that their relationship had fractured beyond repair, and Barry, grieving deeply, refused to confirm or deny anything, until now. Sitting alone in his home in Miami, Barry described the truth with a trembling voice. What he wished he'd told Robin sooner, the regrets that still wake him at night, and the painful confession about the moment he realized he might lose his brother forever. It wasn't fame that broke them. It wasn't money. It wasn't ego. It was something far more personal. Something Barry admits he carried for too long. And when he finally revealed the rumor everyone had been whispering about for years, it left even his closest friends stunned. This is the emotional truth Barry Gibb has finally shared, about brotherhood, loss, and the one thing he'll never forgive himself for. Long before their voices blended into one of the most recognizable sounds in music history, Barry and Robin Gibb were simply two brothers growing up in a world far removed from the fame that awaited them. Barry, the eldest, carried the instinct to lead. Robin, with his haunting vibrato and sensitive nature, carried the instinct to challenge. From the beginning, their dynamic was powerful, creative, and often explosive. Barry always described Robin as mysterious, a soul who felt things deeper than most people realized. While Barry acted with confidence and certainty, Robin lived in his emotions, sometimes withdrawing, sometimes erupting with passion. Even as boys, their differences created friction. But when they sang together, all conflict disappeared. Something magical happened when their voices met, a sound that felt almost supernatural, as if they were born for one purpose: to harmonize. As the Bee Gees rose to fame, their relationship became more complicated. Barry naturally took the role of the group's frontman and primary decision-maker. Robin, brilliant but sensitive, often felt overshadowed. Their first major rift came in the late 1960s, when Robin briefly left the group after disagreements over musical direction. Fans didn't know the full truth at the time, but Barry later admitted that it was one of the most painful periods of their lives. He felt Robin slipping away, not just as a bandmate, but as a brother. Their reunion brought success, but not clarity. Even as they dominated charts around the world, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Arguments erupted over songwriting credits, lead vocals, and creative control. Barry and Robin would clash hard, then come together on stage as if nothing had happened. It was a cycle that defined much of their adult lives. Privately, the brothers struggled to balance the demands of fame with their own emotional needs. Barry, under immense pressure to lead the group, often came across as controlling. Robin, who longed to express his individuality, felt he wasn't always heard. Yet despite the conflicts, both brothers shared a deep, unspoken bond, one marked by loyalty, love, and an understanding only siblings could have. In interviews, Barry often spoke proudly of Robin's unique gift. He knew Robin possessed a voice unlike any other in music. But what fans didn't know was how often Barry wished he'd told Robin that directly. He admitted later in life that he didn't express his appreciation enough, believing he had more time, never imagining how quickly that time would run out. As the years passed, life pulled them in different directions. Robin faced personal struggles, including health issues, legal disputes, and emotional battles that weighed heavily on him. Barry noticed the changes, but both brothers had grown so used to hiding their pain from each other that they rarely talked openly about their fears. Still, every time they entered a studio, something shifted. The old magic resurfaced, as if all the arguments, misunderstandings, and long silences simply dissolved. The music always brought them back together. It was their language, their connection, their truce. But even as they continued performing, the rumors began, whispers of growing distance, of silent tension, of unresolved resentment that neither brother wanted to confront. Fans sensed something was wrong, though the Bee Gees never publicly addressed it. Barry later admitted that things could have been different if he had pushed aside pride, if he had taken the first step, if he had simply talked to Robin before it was too late. Because despite the love between them, there was one truth both brothers quietly carried. They never fully healed the emotional cracks that fame had created. And that unspoken fracture would soon become the source of Barry's greatest regret. As the Bee Gees entered the later stages of their career, the bond between Barry and Robin remained strong but undeniably fragile. On stage, they were legends, three voices merging seamlessly, performing with the ease of lifelong partners. But off-stage, old emotions resurfaced in quiet ways, widening the gaps they never fully addressed. Barry often said that no one could make him laugh like Robin, yet no one could frustrate him quite as deeply either. Their relationship was built on extremes, deep love and deep disagreement. By the early 2000s, the passing of their younger brother Maurice shook the family to its core. It was a loss so devastating that Barry and Robin struggled to comprehend it. Maurice had always been the peacemaker, the gentle force who kept the brothers anchored when tempers flared and egos clashed. Without him, the balance between Barry and Robin shifted dramatically. Maurice's death created a silence between them that neither brother knew how to break. They were grieving, but separately. Barry withdrew, devastated by guilt and shock. Robin, equally shattered, coped by throwing himself into work, interviews, and public appearances. Instead of leaning on each other, they drifted into their own loneliness. And yet, neither wanted to admit just how broken they felt. Rumors began to swirl that the brothers weren't speaking regularly, that they were unsure how to move forward without Maurice. Some claimed the Bee Gees had dissolved entirely. Others whispered that Barry and Robin were fighting more than ever. The truth was more painful than any rumor. The brothers simply didn't know how to move forward. Without the third voice that had completed their harmony since childhood, Barry later confessed that Maurice's death left him emotionally paralyzed. He felt he had failed his brother, failed himself, and failed the family. Robin, meanwhile, struggled with unresolved emotions and a growing sense of fragility. His health began to deteriorate, and Barry, who noticed the changes, wanted to reach out but hesitated. He feared saying the wrong thing, feared reopening old wounds, feared acknowledging that time was slipping away faster than either expected. Their conversations became shorter, their visits less frequent. And yet every time they did speak, there was warmth. No matter how long the silence lasted, the moment they heard each other's voices, it felt like old times. But those moments were rare, and both brothers knew the distance between them was growing. As Robin's health worsened, Barry struggled silently with guilt. He knew something was wrong, but he didn't know the full extent of Robin's condition. Robin, ever proud and private, downplayed his symptoms. He told friends and family that everything was fine, even as he battled serious complications. Barry believed him, because a part of him desperately wanted to. When Robin entered a more critical stage, the rumors intensified. Whispers that Barry and Robin had unresolved conflict, that they had run out of time to reconcile, that the brothers who once walked the world together were now living apart in more ways than one. Barry refused to speak publicly about any of it. He was hurting too deeply, carrying emotions he didn't know how to express. He later admitted something heartbreaking. "I thought we had more time. I thought Robin would get better. I thought everything would fix itself. Instead, Barry found himself living with questions he would never be able to ask, and words he would never get the chance to say. Everything changed the day he received the call. Robin's condition had taken a severe turn. Barry rushed to see him, but even then he couldn't shake the feeling that he should have come sooner. It was the moment he realized the rumors the world had been whispering about, distance, regret, silence, were not just rumors. Anymore, they were his reality, the final months of... Robin Gibb's life was some of the most emotionally intense for Barry. He had spent decades performing side by side with his brother, sharing the highs and lows of fame and weathering every storm together. But now, faced with Robin's declining health, Barry confronted something far more personal: the reality that time had run out to heal old wounds. Barry flew between homes and hospitals, doing everything he could to be there for Robin. Every visit was bittersweet, a reminder of the closeness they once shared, but also of the conversations that had been left unsaid. Barry realized that fame, success, and public image had often overshadowed the very relationship he now wished he had nurtured more carefully. The brother he had argued with, competed with, and sometimes misunderstood was now fragile, and Barry's protective instincts surged. Robin, ever proud, tried to hide his suffering, putting on a brave face for the world. But Barry noticed the small things: the tremble in his hand, the fatigue in his voice, the moments when he seemed to retreat inward. For someone who had been larger than life on stage, Robin's vulnerability was both painful and humbling. Barry began to understand the immense weight his brother had carried for years, balancing fame, family, and personal struggles, often without letting anyone see the cracks beneath the surface. During this period, Barry reflected on their lifetime together. He remembered their early childhood fights, the creative sparks that had fueled the Bee Gees' rise, and the moments when their connection felt unbreakable. He recalled arguments that now seemed trivial, moments of pride that had led to stubborn silence, and the unspoken regret that lingered in their relationship. All of it compounded the sorrow he felt, knowing that so much remained unresolved. One particularly emotional evening, Barry sat by Robin's bedside, holding his hand and sharing stories from their youth. He apologized for the times he had been distant, for the moments he had failed to truly listen, and for not always being the brother Robin needed. Robin smiled faintly, his eyes reflecting a deep understanding that transcended words. It was a moment of fragile reconciliation, fleeting yet profoundly meaningful. Barry later admitted that those final weeks were a mix of grief, guilt, and love. He struggled with the haunting question of what if? What if he had spoken sooner, reached out earlier, or been more present during the years when Robin needed him most? But amid the sorrow there was also gratitude. Gratitude for the music they created, the memories they shared, and the bond that, despite everything, endured until the very end. The world would later hear snippets of Barry's reflections, carefully phrased to honor his brother's memory without exposing the raw pain they both felt. Yet behind those words lay the truth. Their relationship, while complicated and imperfect, was a lifelong connection that neither fame nor time could sever completely. And as Robin's final days approached, Barry knew he had to cherish every last moment, even if the regret of years lost would remain with him forever. The rumors that had haunted fans for decades, of tension, distance, and unresolved conflict, were finally confirmed. But what the public didn't yet fully understand was the depth of love, the effort to reconcile, and the emotional courage it took for Barry to finally speak the truth. After Robin Gibb passed away, the world mourned not only a music legend, but also the profound void left in Barry Gibb's life. For years, fans had speculated about the state of the brothers' relationship. Rumors of distance, tension, and unspoken conflicts swirled endlessly. Now, at 79, Barry finally chose to address the truth. What he revealed was far more personal, emotional, and heart-wrenching than anyone could have imagined. Barry explained that his bond with Robin had always been complex, a mixture of deep love, rivalry, and unspoken expectations. "We shared everything," he said, "but sometimes we were also strangers in the same house. I wish I had been better at listening, at understanding, at being there in ways Robin might have needed." He admitted that fame and the relentless pace of their careers often got in the way of nurturing their brotherhood. The constant pressure to perform, create, and maintain perfection left little space for emotional honesty. He also revealed the one rumor that had haunted fans for decades. Yes, there were moments of real distance, periods when the brothers hardly spoke. But Barry clarified that these moments were never rooted in hatred or resentment. They were a reflection of pride, exhaustion, and the human tendency to avoid difficult conversations. For Barry, those silent periods became a source of lifelong regret. He wished he had reached out sooner, said the things that mattered, and held on tighter to the man who had been both his competitor and his closest ally. Barry's account painted a picture of Robin not just as a musician, but as a deeply sensitive man who carried burdens privately. His health struggles, compounded by emotional strain, made those final years especially challenging. Barry admitted that watching Robin suffer and knowing he couldn't fully protect him was one of the most painful experiences of his life. Yet even in those final days, their connection persisted. Small gestures, quiet conversations, shared memories. These moments became priceless, offering both closure and heartbreak simultaneously. For Barry, confirming the rumors was not about scandal or drama. It was about truth, remembrance, and healing. By speaking openly, he honored Robin's memory and shared the real story of their lives together. One filled with music, love, mistakes, and unbreakable bonds. He acknowledged that some regrets could never be erased, but he also emphasized the enduring strength of brotherhood. Barry's reflections serve as a reminder that even those who seem larger than life, whose voices fill arenas and whose music shapes generations, experience the same struggles as anyone else. Love can coexist with conflict. Loyalty can coexist with misunderstanding. And loss can coexist with profound gratitude. In confirming the rumors, Barry Gibb gave fans the most intimate look yet into the emotional world behind the Bee Gees. It was a story of reconciliation, heartbreak, and ultimately the enduring power of family. Even at 79, Barry's courage to speak the truth ensures that Robin's legacy lives on. Not only through their music, but through the honesty, common lessons they leave behind. Barry's final words to the world were simple, yet deeply moving. Robin and I were brothers first, bandmates second. I will carry him with me forever, and I hope the world remembers not just the music, but the bond we shared, flaws and all. And with that, Barry Gibb closes the chapter on the rumors, revealing the truth that fans had long speculated about, and giving the world a glimpse into the profound love and sorrow that defined his life with Robin.